There are no right or wrong decisions. Take that out of the equation. They're just decisions that need to be made. We choose a path, we take it, and we go for it, and we make it work no matter what.
You are listening to the Beyond the Classroom podcast, a podcast for burnt-out teachers who know something's gotta give. After teaching for 14 years and feeling completely burned out for way too long, in May of 2022, I made a big decision and left the classroom. I now help burnt-out teachers like you take back balance and joy so you can wake up every day loving your life. In this podcast, we'll explore who you are beyond the classroom, whether you're considering leaving or wanting to make changes so you can fall in love with teaching again. Either way, I understand what it's like to be living a life that looks fun and cute on the outside. You know, summer's off, playing all day, off at 2 o'clock every day, but actually feels miserable and draining. I'm your host and coach, Sandy Patterson, and I'm so excited to help you step into your fullest potential and believe in that potential to make an impact on the world, not just survive each day. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Classroom podcast. I'm so happy that you're here today. I hope all is well and that you're doing wonderful. Today, we're going to talk about decision making. Now, whether we realize it or not, we are constantly making decisions, especially teachers, right? And some decisions are so simple that you're barely aware that you're making them, while others are super time-consuming, high risk, and can leave you feeling super anxious. A lot of my clients right now are working through big decisions. They're deciding what their next steps are in life, deciding whether or not they want to leave their teaching job, deciding if they want to stay, deciding if they want to start their own business or find a different job or start a side hustle even. And some of them are even deciding if they want to leave a relationship and how that kind of goes. And these are all big decisions and not decisions to be made lightly, of course. But we make this even more difficult for ourselves by adding on the pressure of right and wrong decisions. Now, I have spent a ton of time worrying about right and wrong decisions. Trust me on this one. So I'll think, am I making the right choice? What if this is the wrong decision? What if I regret my choice? What if, is it right or wrong? When I decided to leave my teaching job last year, I went back and forth and spent a lot of unnecessary hours worrying about the right and wrong choice. Just by saying right and wrong, we are by default assuming that there is a right choice and a wrong choice. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't think about how these decisions and the choices you make will impact your family and your future and all of that, because by all means, we need to weigh the pros and cons and take all of these things into consideration when making decisions, of course. But just by saying right and wrong, we're assuming that there is a right and a wrong path to take. And really, there is not. It's just a decision that you make and you move forward. There is no way to tell if a decision is right or wrong because there's no way to tell what would have been if you had have decided differently, right? Yes, you might regret decisions you've made. I know I definitely have. Or you've been sure about the path you're on because the outcome feels good and it feels like it was a right choice. But really, there is no way to know. What if you decided differently? What if you made a different choice? Would things still have been good? Maybe they would have even been better, right? So without getting too into it, we'll just decide today that there are no right or wrong decisions. Take that out of the equation. They're just decisions that need to be made. We choose a path, we take it, and we go for it, and we make it work no matter what. So instead of saying, I don't want to make the wrong decision, or saying, what's the right decision? We can flip this instead and say, which path am I going to feel most comfortable taking? And again, this is not to say at all that you just blindly start making decisions. You look at the pros and cons. You look at any alternatives or any other options. And when you're doing this, I highly, highly recommend writing them all out, because as you write, more ideas will pop into your head. And it's beneficial to list out every single thing you can think of, every single thing, because new things will pop in, even things that are like not even an option, that are like a no way. Write them all down. You can also look, when you're making a decision, at the worst case scenario. So for any given decision, what is the worst, the very, very worst case scenario? Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like the absolute worst. Now, once you have that in your head, and it's definitely not fun to think about this, but you can think about if that really were the worst case, and most likely these worst case scenarios don't even come true, what would you do? In that worst case scenario, what would you do? So there's your plan, like H, right? When plans A, B, C, D, E, F, and G all don't work out, there's a plan H or I or J, right? You just keep going that worst case scenario, and then you kind of have a plan about if the worst case scenario happens, you have a plan on how to handle it. One of the scary parts of decision making is not knowing what the outcome will be. And we like to be in charge and know what's coming. And when you make a big change, when you make a big decision, there is no way to know what the outcome will be. So leaning into that uncomfortable feeling can get you through this as well. And being okay with a space where you're not quite sure, it's scary, but it's always worth it on the other end, right? Now, once you have all of that information and you have that worst case scenario in your head and that plan H, you have to start listening to your intuition. Your intuition is that inner voice that can guide you towards making that decision. It's in the pit of your stomach where you just know. It's like that feeling, right? And it's not always easy to figure out what your intuition and what your gut are saying. And this too takes a lot of practice and a lot of awareness. And some things that can help with listening to your intuition are meditating, journaling, and carving out time in your day to just sit and be and think. So no phone, no TV, no Apple Watch, no kids around, no multitasking. And this is definitely a hard one, because who really has time to just sit around, even if it's just for like 10 minutes, even if it's just for 5 minutes, right? Who has time for that? But if you carve it out, this can be one of the most productive things you can do. One of my favorite things to do when I need to clear that headspace and I'm trying to listen to my gut and I know that I have the answers, but I just can't quite access them yet, I love going for a walk outside. There's something about being outside and the fresh air that just helps clear my mind so I can better listen to my intuition and kind of figure out the right path for me. So the goal here is to become a confident decision maker, to know that there's no right or wrong decision. It's just a decision and a choice, and you choose it and you go for it. And the next question is naturally, how do you become a confident decision maker? Like, how the heck do you do that when you can't even decide what you're having for lunch, right? Well, the answer to that is that you trust yourself. You have an immense amount of self-trust, that you have your own back and you know that whatever happens, you are smart enough to figure it out and to make it work no matter what the outcome is. Self-trust and decision-making go hand in hand, and you cannot really talk about decision-making without self-trust. Now, self-doubt can oftentimes cloud our judgment and make it difficult to make decisions, and it is essential to have confidence in your abilities and trust that you're capable of making the best decision for you. So how do you trust yourself then? Well, here's the thing. You have to show up when you say you're going to, not for anyone else. Show up for you to prove to yourself that you can. So I like to use this example. So if you make a coffee date with a friend, so let's say it's Wednesday and on Friday you have a coffee date with this friend, right? And Friday rolls around and your friend shows up, but you do not. you just don't show up. So your friend is probably going to call or text you or reach out and go, hey, like what happened? And you're going to explain, whatever happened. And then you'll probably try to reschedule for next Friday. Perfect. Okay. So next Friday rolls around. The friend shows up, but you do not again. So now your friend's probably like, what the heck is going on here? This is annoying, right? You would be annoyed if you were that other friend. The friend would probably reach out again. And same thing would probably happen. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'll show up next week. I'll be there next week. Be there next Friday. So the next Friday rolls around, and guess what? Your friend shows up, but you don't. Eventually, over time, that friend is going to stop trying, right? They're going to stop reaching out. They're going to stop putting the effort in because you're not putting the effort in either. If this continually happens over time, and you keep not showing up, it's the same thing with yourself. Like you are your own friend. You have to show up for yourself when you say you're going to. I teach bar classes and I say this all the time in class. Just prove to yourself that you can do it, not for anyone else, but for you. Like you show up for you and you start to build that self-trust. Every time you break that self-trust, every time you say you're going to do something or you say you want to do something and then you don't, you are showing yourself that you are not trustworthy, right? That you cannot trust yourself to do things you say you're going to do. So show up for yourself. Another way to get more confident in your decision-making and to build self-trust, and yes, this is a skill that can be practiced. Decision-making can be practiced. Is to practice making decisions quickly and confidently whenever you can. So here's an example of this. How many times have we been caught in the whole, what do you want to have for dinner? What do you feel like conversation, right? And you go back and forth, I don't know. And then, your partner or whoever, your friend offers something and it's like, no, I don't want that. And it's this back and forth type thing, right? Once you get yourself into a space where you can quickly and easily make decisions, everything becomes a lot easier and a lot less stressful. So you can actually practice making decisions with small things like what to have for dinner. Like just choose something and then go with it and trust yourself that whatever happens, it's going to work out. You're going to have dinner. Everything's going to be fine. So to recap today, we talked about making decisions and how to become a confident decision maker. We talked about how you have to trust yourself in order to be able to make confident decisions. And we know now that there is no right or wrong decision. It's just a choice and a path that we take. And we trust ourselves enough to know that whatever happens, whatever the outcome is, that you have your own back. We also talked about ways that you can practice making decisions, ways that you can practice this in smaller situations, in less stressful situations. And we talked about ways to listen to your gut and listen to your intuition and how helpful that can be when trying to make choices. We also talked about thinking about the worst case scenario and having a plan for if that were to happen. So I hope that this helps you out a little bit. I know, like I said, as teachers, as moms, as women, just as humans, we are constantly making decisions all the time, and people are relying on us. It feels like there's always somebody that needs something, right? So I hope that this was helpful to you today in helping you become a more confident decision maker and understanding that whatever choice you make, you've got your own back, you've got this. And now it's your turn to just truly believe that and go for whatever you are dreaming of. So until next time, take care. I cannot wait to hear what you think about this, and I cannot wait to hear what decisions this helps you with.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Beyond the Classroom. If you know something has to change and you're ready to take the next step to make it happen, whether it's in or out of the classroom, let's talk it through together. Schedule a no-obligation chat with me and we can talk through where you're stuck, how to get you unstuck, and how to keep you moving forward. Schedule your free call today by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to connect with you.